Nō mai, haere mai, welcome. I'm Bruce Munro, and with me via video link is International Relations Specialist Professor Robert Patman, and this is the first Global Insight episode of 2026. US President Donald Trump's threat to take Greenland by force has turned this week's World Economic Forum gathering in Davos, Switzerland, into a crisis diplomacy gathering of people from around the world. Trump's speech in Davos on Wednesday and his comments afterwards have dialed back some of the tension, but who knows for how long. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
What is your reaction to Trump's speech at Davos and his comments afterwards?
I think two quick points. I think, first of all, there was relief that Mr. Trump indicated he was not going to use force to fulfill what he sees as a core goal now, which is to obtain ownership of Greenland. But he did not altogether rule it out sometime in the future. He was quite ambiguous on that point, but I think there was an immediate sense of relief because he had threatened before the meeting that if necessary, force might be used. He seemed to rule that out for the immediate future. I think the second thing was, I think Mr. Trump's speech confirmed that Mr. Trump's vision of international relations is completely different from most, in virtually all, his liberal democratic allies, including New Zealand. Mr. Trump sees the world in quite different terms. And it was quite a long, at times rambling speech. And Mr. Trump said simultaneously nice things about America's European allies, but also made some quite trenchant criticisms as well. So, yeah, I think the thing that struck me, and there's been quite severe criticism of the speech in the United States, is that Mr. Trump, in a sense, didn't do anything to boost his case, I think, in the eyes of the people who received the speech.
What's your analysis of world leaders' reaction to Trump's rhetoric?
Well, we do know that following the meeting, there was a meeting with Mark Rutte, who is the Secretary General of NATO, and Mr. Trump went on to Truth Social, his social media network, and said they had reached a framework agreement and he wouldn't be going ahead with the tariffs as scheduled on the 1st of February against 8 European countries who are members of NATO. That appears to be good news, but it hasn't been confirmed. The other thing is, it's quite clear that most European countries, with the exception of Hungary and Slovakia, are absolutely adamant there could be no change to Denmark's sovereignty and the fact that Greenland is an autonomous part of Greenland, of Denmark. So it seems to me that if you look, a number of people, such as Ursula von der Leyen, made the point that Europe was unflinching on this point. So we'll just have to see to what extent the agreement that Mr. Trump announced, how that pans out. But if we look at what the evidence presented so far, I would have to agree with Mark Carney's assessment. Mr. Carney spoke at Davos a day before Mr. Trump, and he said that what we're witnessing is a rupture in the transatlantic relationship, and it's incumbent on all middle powers to come to terms with this reality, including those in Europe and probably those outside, such as New Zealand and Australia. And there is a real gap in terms of perspective on international affairs now between this revisionist Trump administration, which really sees the world run through great powers, and liberal democracies which prefer a system in which is underpinned by authoritative institutions and the rule of law.
What role is Putin playing in Trump's foreign policy?
Well, that's a very good question. What we do know is that the Russian state media, the media controlled by Mr. Putin, have been extremely supportive of Mr. Trump's plans to own Greenland. There was a remarkable story, I think it was on the 19th of January this year, and in which the article in Russia Gazeta, first of all, said that it was a wonderful idea that Mr. Trump had. Owning Greenland would help make America even greater, and it urged America to, quote, rapidly annex, unquote, Greenland before the US midterm elections so that the Republican Party could get the benefit of the kudos of annexing Greenland. But the same article also warned Mr. Trump that there would be trouble for the US president if he backed down on his claim to Greenland. So it's very difficult to know exactly the relationship between Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin. In previous Global Insights, we speculated about this a little bit. But what is quite clear is that the Russians fully support this. Why? Because a strategic goal of the Putin regime is the destruction of NATO. And let's be quite clear, if Mr. Trump uses pressure to obtain Greenland, that will be the end of NATO. And the Danish foreign minister has said that. And that will be a tremendous boost for a Putin regime, which is really struggling now in Ukraine, has taken severe losses. Its offensive has virtually collapsed along the front line in the eastern part of the country. So we can only speculate, Bruce, but what we do know is that Mr. Putin is very supportive. His country is very supportive of Mr. Trump's plans. He likes the end goal. In fact, the article I just quoted from that Russian newspaper was titled Greenland, NATO's Cemetery, ? And I think that gives a flavor to the official Russian media on their view on this situation. What is clear, both in Mr. Trump's speech to the Davos delegates and his previous justifications, is that Mr. Trump seems the case for the United States taking ownership of Greenland does not seem to make strategic sense. He says he must have ownership of Greenland because it's threatened by China and Russia. But on the other hand, this is the same president who laid down the red carpet for Mr. Putin at Alaska and has consistently backed Mr. Putin's solution to solve the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And the solution involves a land for peace deal whereby Mr. Putin's aggressive invasion of a sovereign state is rewarded by Mr. Putin keeping much of the land, if not more, of the territory he currently controls in Ukraine. So it's puzzling. On the one hand, Mr. Trump keeps saying how excellent his relations are with Mr. Putin. Indeed, he mentioned his relations with Putin in his speech in Davos. But he's claiming that the same Mr. Putin is a huge threat to Greenland. Danish officials on the ground say that simply is not the case. They do see no specific threat from Russia or China. And indeed, that's what NATO is created for, an alliance of 27 countries. And on Article 5, if one is attacked, then they all respond. Mr. Trump, so therefore his rationale for taking ownership of Greenland was shaky. And I don't think he did anything in his Davos speech that shed a new light on why America must own Greenland, particularly since under a 1951 agreement between Denmark, a very close ally of the United States, under a 1951 treaty, the United States has access to Greenland. It has one military base there at the moment. In the past, it had up to 17. And the Danish government makes it quite clear that the Americans can scale up their military presence with their cooperation at any time. So it's very difficult to see how Mr. Trump's so-called strategic case is going to win hearts and minds in Europe. I think what we're witnessing is a fundamental breakdown in trust between the Trump administration and many of America's European allies.
Thinking beyond Greenland about Trump's foreign policy activities in the world, should New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon accept the invitation to join Trump's proposed global board of peace?
I think the short answer is no. Mr. Trump's board of peace, I understand that each member every leader that's invited their country has to pay $1 billion. We have no information about where that money goes. Secondly, there is no Palestinian representative on the board of peace. And another factor is that New Zealand, and Mr. Peters has reaffirmed this repeatedly, wants a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Sitting on the board is Mr. Netanyahu, who is not only, in many people's eyes, including the ICC, a war criminal. The ICC have an arrest warrant for him. He's on the board. He's accepted an invitation to be on the board. So New Zealand shouldn't be rubbing shoulders with leaders who've clearly broken international law. And that, of course, includes Mr. Trump's administration. What is widely seen to have occurred in Gaza is genocide. And so quite apart from the fact that this so-called board of peace seems to have shaky credentials to dealing with the problems on the ground in Gaza, there is another factor. Mr. Trump seems to be setting up the board of peace to have a role that goes beyond Gaza. And that suggests that Mr. Trump wants to displace the UN as the principal international institution, which is baffling since America has the most privileged position of any country within the UN. And when it blames the UN for its failures, it must include itself in that blame, since being the most influential player within the existing UN. So if this is a stalking horse, the board of peace for Gaza, for building a new international institution, I think that's another reason why New Zealand must be very wary. After all, Mr. Trump has taken steps which fundamentally conflict with New Zealand's view of international relations. And Mr. Luxon runs the risk, if he joins the board of peace, he will be seen as complicit and even condoning Mr. Trump's assault on the international rules-based order, which is rejected by most liberal democracies.
Thanks, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Noho ora mai.